wanted to ask you that as a producer. So I know by the sounds of it, you stay busy as far as beat making concerned. Like you never run out of them. But as far as all of them, did you have to reach out to any of them, or how did that work? As far as they reach out to you, or how does that happen? How you bridge that relationship between all of them?
Out of the 3 people that were mentioned, the only person that I didn't reach out to was Trash TompSin.
Okay.
Trash TompSin and I are usually in the Twitter spaces. So, at one point, he was like, "Word, send me some beats." And I had already heard him rap before. I've heard him on songs. He's been on Know It All's album, Hand Painted Realities. He's on Black is Beautiful, Black is Chidori's album. So, I'm like, word, I actually like Trash TompSin. I would totally give him beats. I gave him 3 beats. And I thought at this point it was just for his album. He was making an album at this point. Okay. I'm like, word, I'll throw some 3 joints in there, hopefully get a placement. Cool. But that wasn't the case, because he was like, well, actually, I want to do an EP called Deadpoul and Wulverine. And I'm like, okay. All right, cool. I mean, it makes sense, right? Why not?
I wanted to ask you that, too. So he's the one that came up with the title for that one?
Yes.
Okay. I would have thought, since you're Wulverine, that would have been your suggestion.
No. Well, I mean, we both wanted it to be Deadpoul and Wulverine, but he had Deadpool written the way that he did. I would have written it with like a UO or OU or some shit. He put 2 U, which I understand now why he did it, because I have a U in my name, so.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So homage to you in this case, right? Since you're, you're heading up the whole project. Nice. So that's with Trash TompSin, and that's Deadpoul Wulverine, the EP that just dropped literally on the 26th, the day of the film dropping as well. How long did that take you to make that EP?
It was pretty scattered. We didn't necessarily obviously the timeline was having it done by the 26th and having it out by then, but it wasn't necessarily oh, we got it done this whole month and that's it. It was very, very scattered. But because besides me sending those 3 beats, I didn't send him anything for a while, because I just wasn't under the impression that we were going to do the EP until very later on. And then by the time he actually said he wanted to do an EP is when I actually sent him more beats. Actually, that's funny. The day of Scary No, so it was the day that he asked me for 3 more beats. So I was like, oh shit, word, I got you. And then I had sent him a couple beats a week later, and then he was like, okay, cool, I'm just gonna get everything done. And then I didn't hear from him for a week. I'm like, okay. And then a week later, I get the cover art, I get the mixes, everything's on distro, and I just did the track list. And then that was really what it was. The very last beat that I even made before everything got sent out was Deadpool Kills Your Stupo verse. Because he wanted some hard shit, and they had no drums at the moment to make, and he was like, I really, really need it. And I'm like, fuck, it's 5 o'clock in the morning and I got no drums, bro. Damn, leave me the fuck alone. And then I made that shit. I was so angry. I made that, and he was like, we're done. That's it. Boom. So it's funny. It was very, very scattered, but I'm glad that it's kind of made that way, because it really embodies the work, and it also embodies him as Deadpool. So it's I'm not mad, and honestly, it came out really well. I will say this: it came out really fucking well. I would have never expected it to come out this way. I didn't actually hear anything prior to it coming out.
Yeah,
I heard it maybe 2 days before it actually came out.
Oh wow, okay.
So give or take. So I was like, oh, okay, word. Alright, it sounds good. I'm not mad about it. It sounds great. I ain't even mad. And it came out, and a lot of people love it, and I'm glad that people love it, because I put a lot of work into these beats and having people sound the way that they do, and bringing the best out of the artists that I work with. At least I try to.
It definitely sounds like it did. You didn't shy away from giving, Trash TompSin, Heartbreak Julio, and or AhhFuGGiT all your best. no matter how long it took, because at least with Deadpool Wulverine, and like everyone I mentioned just now, you just gave me 3 new rappers. Like I'll definitely put like my current new favorites, like constant rotation. Just to give more praise to Trash Thompson first off. I love his whole energy. I love just like the way he flows into shit. Just like it's like he takes the beat that you gave him, which is already excellent to begin with, each one, and he'll just do his thing on it and have no worries whatsoever.
He's very carefree about the way he raps, and I love that. And it's got that southern drawl to it. And that was one of the things that that was one of the biggest reasons, apart from the fact that he can bar the fuck out.
Yeah.
His accent is what made me want to work with him the most. I was like, yeah, I want to work with you. Like, the fact that you're from the South and you can bar the fuck out, yes. Like, let's go. Let's do it. And that's the thing. I strive to work with different people because I want to introduce my audience and their audience to either me and or them.
Yeah.
That's always been my biggest thing. Like, it's about the art. Always been about the art. I always try and strive. Ever since I started last year, everything's about the art. It's the preservation of art. And that's the thing. If you preserve art, it lasts a lifetime.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously. And that's all I strive for. This is why I work so much. That's why I try to get as much work even in the tuck as possible, because there's going to be times where I'm just not going to do anything.
Yeah.
But something came out that's got my beats on it. I got a placement here. I got a collaboration coming out there. Like, that's really what I plan on doing, is being able to get paid for my work, live off of what I'm doing, and not have to consistently work as hard as I'm doing now. Mm-hmm. Have my hard work pay off that I'm doing now, and all these nights that I stay up and all the shows that I go to and the moves that I make be as beneficial as it can, hopefully 5 years from now, or even less, if I can do what I can. You know what I mean? That's always been the motive, 1,000%. So people people like Trash Thompson, thank you, and Julio and Action and Patty Honcho, like those guys trusting in me to give them the type of music that they need, that they deserve, so that the world can hear it and they can do what they want to that. That is the sole purpose of what I do. You know what I mean? So if I could do this for the rest of my life, which I want to, you know what I mean? I would, I would. They don't pay the bills right now, that's why I'm looking for a job. But but for sure, like I enjoy it. I love it. I love making music every day, or at least the chances that I can.
I hear that. And again, it's very evident in everything you've given all 3 individuals I mentioned. And your heart is in the art, definitely, as they say, I guess.
Absolutely.
We talked about Trash Thompson, his ill, southern twang he's got to him. I'm a fan of that shit.
Yeah.
I know I talked to him about it when I last saw him at Scaring the Hoes, day 2, I believe.
Yeah.
He reminds me of a young T.I. with that southern drawl. Before T.I. blew up. Yeah. But I love T.I. He's always been just like a menace on the mic. Right. But also, it's the accent, it's the thing he's got going on verbally. Next project, since hopefully he's still here, is Heartbreak Julio.
Yeah, he's right
Heartbreak
there.
Kid.
Yeah, he's chilling. He's chilling out. He's right there. So Julio, wow, man, I love talking about this. Whew. So I didn't know who Julio was until wrestling school. Mm-hmm. Mind you, at this point that I've heard about wrestling school, I had just met Action Figure. I was just freshly became friends with Action. Like, I was just entered the group, like straight youngin, newbie, rookie. I'm still the youngin here anyway. I'm still the youngest in the crew, but like I was still testing waters. And at the time, we had went to the ECW arena in Philly. Mm-hmm. Me, Action, and Eric the Red. And shout outs to Jay Rhymes, because Jay Rhymes had us over there. We had like an event, like a little table where we were just performing and kind of just playing beats and just playing stuff. And Action, we were next to Mark Henry type shit. It was fire. It was hard. Listen, that's a whole story for a whole nother day. it was hard. I'll tell you that.
I just want to make sure I got it right. So then you went there and you pretty much set up shop impromptu.
It was like a convention. It was a wrestling convention that they had, but obviously there were wrestlers there.
Right. But I mean, you guys showed up and started doing your thing there without like necessarily.
Because we had a table. We had a table with a female wrestler.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay.
So she was like, "Yeah, no, you might as well if y'all playing wrestling themed beats, yeah, of course." I'm like, "Yeah." So,
nice.
Right. So it's like I had a whole wrestling theme set. Action had wrestling school, which was all wrestling shit. So, he played wrestling school, and I kept hearing this one dude just going off, and I'm like, "Who the fuck is this?" It's not Action, because I know how Action sounds like. I'm like, yo, and then I tell Action who this is. He's like, yo, this is Heartbreak Julio. Funny thing is, he's from Queens. I'm like, huh?
Nice, into the building.
Now, mind you, I was under the impression there were no Queens MCs ever. Like at this point, because I knew about Know It All, so he wasn't. It's not about Know It All. It's like I didn't think besides Know It All that there was no MCs in Queens.
Yeah,
because I barely saw them. All I saw was Jersey, obviously, and maybe like Brooklyn. I'm like, cool, all right, bet. I shouted out Julio for wrestling school. I heard wrestling school in its entirety when it came out on DSPs. Loved it. Told Julio it was great. I would love to work with him one day. And he was like, yes, let's do it. So it wasn't until Platinum came out, Luchador is going platinum with Action, that we actually solidified on actually working together. And he was like, yo, I didn't know you were going to come with this type of energy on Platinum. Like, now we actually have to work. And I'm like, okay, I got you. Word. I told him I want it to be wrestling themed because you're on that type of wrestling shit and so am I. But has anybody ever did like a Heartbreak tape with you? And he's like, nah. I'm like, they're stupid. Wow. Like, how the fuck is your name Heartbreak Julio and you don't got a Heartbreak EP or album or nothing out there? And he's like, you're smart. I like where you're going with this. I'm like, hey, so you know where I'm going with. Boom. I sent him the first 5 beats because I think No Chaps was the only song yet that I didn't send him. But all the other joints, Sunny Days, WrestleMania 25, Monty's Screwjob, and 96 Michaels, with their skits, I sent it to him immediately. And he was like, oh, this is what you're trying. I'm like, yes. And he's like, you're going to curate this. You're going to produce this. I'm going to rap. I'm like, that's what we're doing. Perfect. Got him the 6 beat. We went straight to Asher on 420. I think we spent the entire day in the studio because Action had to record shit. Eric had to record shit. Everybody had to record shit. We got our shit done in like an hour. Boom. Done. Nice. Mixed. Mastered. And we were just like, yo. We were like nervous because it's like, there's so much bars in here, but there's hooks and there's substance and there's different beats, so it's not like you can get tired of it. There's different things for everybody.
Hold on a second. Wait, I just want to clarify. So you got everything done for that Heartbreak Kid EP
in an hour?
Yeah. Mastered everything?
Well, not mixing. Obviously, the mix and master took time, but the recording and getting everybody's verses pretty much done. And recorded, and it was pretty much done in an hour. If mixing and mastering was done in an hour,
I was going to shit my pants saying in an hour.
Yo,
God,
that'd be wild. We'd be having so much more music out. But no. It was getting everything recorded in an hour. And the reason why I say that is because it only really took 30 minutes for Julio to really record everything, ad-libs and all. It only took 30 minutes for Action to write his verse, record his verse, that he didn't hear the beat prior to this.
Okay.
So this is why I said it only took an hour. Like, because I was like, word.
Gotcha.
Action was like, I need to hear the beat. He heard the beat 3 times in the studio, then went outside to smoke, came right back in, wrote his verse as he was outside, recorded everything. And I was just like, this is the best verse I've heard you record ever. This is better than the shit we put out. I was upset. So I was like, damn, you're giving this man this crazy feature verse, and I gotta get this out of you this way? Alright, cool. I just that mentally put a note to me, by the way, that I had to tell myself I had to give Action some way better shit now, because he just came with some crazy shit. Anyway, and that was the same day that we actually decided to drop it on the 22nd, because Shawn Michaels' birthday was on the 22nd.
Right.
And
okay.
Divine Timing told us that day, let's just drop it on the 22nd. Why not? And it was funny. There's a lot of things surrounding Shawn Michaels was coming out that day anyway, so it really just was perfect with the promo and all that.
Nice.
Wow, it's just it got received really well. People love this record. I'm so glad people do. It's like me and Julio's baby for real, which is pause, but like for real, like it's our musical child. Like we really gave birth to some crazy shit. It's amazing. And I already gave him his second pack like the same day this shit dropped. Shit. So he's barring out right now. We're good. Like it's definitely, people want it. I love it. We've had podcasts shout us out. We've had blogs shout us out from some Slovakia.
Well,
yo, it's been super ill. So I'm very, very, very happy. I'm super appreciative of the people that have been very supportive, because it's very hard for me to drop one thing, let alone two things in the same week.
Yeah.
Technically 3, because I have a re-release beat tape coming out tomorrow, but that doesn't really count. Yeah, that doesn't count. It's like, as far as new releases go, like 2 in the same week is a lot for me, so I'm really glad that people really took the time to listen to both. And I really appreciate Julio 1000% for giving me the opportunity to curate this record for him, because a lot of artists don't like to let producers do that, and I completely understand why, and I'm 100% in agreement to that. But me and Julio have a really similar mindset when it comes to this wrestle rap shit, so I'm really glad that he allowed me to give him these type of canvases for him to just do whatever the fuck he wanted to do with them. Because there were no necessary like foundations apart from where the skits were laying and what we wanted to talk about for certain songs. That's why certain songs are labeled with certain titles. And notice every single title is Eddie. It's just related to Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 25, Sunday Days with like the Bret Hart fucking accusation, no chaps because he wears chaps. He takes off his chaps. You know what I mean? Monty's Screwjob was
chaps.
Right? No, we're not. We're not Billy Gunn. You know, Monty's Screwjob is about the Montreal Screwjob. Fucking The Rockers, which is pretty self-explanatory.
I hate to be a nerd potentially. You know, me being a dick, I guess, but I'm a stickler for spelling.
What's up?
The last track, 96 Michaels.
Yeah.
Is that purposely misspelled?
Yes.
Or okay, I just want to be clear. Okay, I didn't want to be like, oh, by the way, did you notice and shit after the distribution and shit.
Yes. Okay. Just for because, you know, you gotta try to avoid WWE some fucking how. I mean, if it wasn't, I know. You know what I mean? Like, I try to make these. That's the thing. I try to make these titles as not obvious as possible, but obvious enough that if you're a wrestling fan, you understand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, and it's cool because the wrestling fans that aren't hip hop fans, but that are also hip hop fans, both sides, they understand it, and it's perfect. It's great, and I don't care what anybody says. It's gonna be spelled that way, regardless whether you like it or not. I'm not changing shit. Okay, straight up. I'm not getting sued for y'all. Fuck out of here. Like, listen, we're trying to give you good art, and if I gotta misspell something, fuck it. I don't care. I misspelled my own fucking producer name. Like, I did it on purpose.
I did it too.
Yeah, like, exactly. Like, come on, bro. Come on, man.
I spelled mine incorrectly phonetically. It's all wrong too.
Right.
Who this? Who talks like that? So now I want to touch on the not best for last per se, but the last one I had up here written up is Luchador's Going Diamond was destined to come. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, is this the latest project from, not the latest you worked on with Action Figure project?
Yes, okay. It is the latest project I've worked on with Action. Yeah.
Which I want to say too to Action. I know he's been heavy in the comments. I appreciate you, brother, for that. I'm not gonna say he's my favorite of the three, but he was the most pleasant surprise MC bar wise. Like you said, the Rockers, his guest verse on that shit for Julio was like wow.
Yeah.
And already, you know, at first I was gonna say like, oh, he kind of reminds me of Action Bronson because of the action in the name and shit, but also because of like the absurdity of the references and analogies because they're so brilliant and out there.
So let me tell you something that I just discovered this morning when I was on my walk. Right, I was listening to his verse on "I Don't Wanna," Deadpool and Wulverine, and I realized that's like the most Action Bronson verse I've heard him spit, and I was really happy about that because he is a very big fan of Action Bronson. So it's you can tell he has those Bronsonisms in his bars, but he's so wrestle rap that you kind of just disregard it because he's speaking that shit. Like his bars are so good.
Yeah.
Like, and you know the thing is with Action is that even if you're not a wrestling fan, which is kind of uncommon because a lot of people already are, but even if you're not, like, chances are you're gonna become a wrestling fan because of it, or you're just gonna enjoy the bars regardless.
Oh yeah.
Because Action does something with his bars that doesn't make it so obvious that it's just about wrestling. There's always something tied with it that allows it to be relatable to you. Because at the end of the day, Action Figure is never just rapping about some wrestling nonsensical nonsense. It's always about what he's dealing with in his life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really up to you to really go and pick in between the lines on how you can figure those things out. I have times where I've had Action send me verses every day, and I've had to go and just decipher them shits myself to understand what he's saying. And I love doing that because, no, really, I love doing that because it helps me understand him as a person. Apart from the fact that he's one of my closest friends, and I hang out with him almost every other week.
Nice.
His music allows you to understand him, as do the other two as well.
Yeah.
Which is why I work with people like Julio and Action and Trash, because that's what I want in the music. I want you to put your personality and yourself into this music. The whole reason of me being here is to guide you to do what you want. Your vocals are the lead instrument. Fuck the beat. We're here for you. You know what I mean? Like, literally. There's a song on Platinum.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're not talking about it, but there's a song on Platinum called Subject to Change that has no drums at all on it. It's just an orchestra. And Action just spitting bars. But people don't like it because there's no beat behind it. It's just melody. And I'm like, you're not understanding the whole purpose of that, you know? And so, funny enough, the reason why I made Diamond all soul records was to go and understand if people really just wanted me to put soul records on everything, or if they were just hating, because, you know, there was just a lot of not soul records in Platinum, and people ate it the fuck up, and I'm like, well, I got my answer. I got my answer. But I will say that if it wasn't for the fact that all these records were different, even though they're all soul records, Action probably wouldn't have went off as much as he did. So, and really, he's a main contributor to this record because 2 of the records on here he sent me samples for.
Ah, okay. Helped out.
It was just up to me to do what I wanted with them, and they came out the way that they do.
Now, when he gave you those 2 samples, did he tell you, oh, I like this part of this record? Or did he leave it up to you to figure out, like, oh, do something with these 2 because I like these 2, basically?
Exactly
oh,
that.
Okay.
Exactly that. It wasn't even like he gave me those 2 exactly. It was one day he gave me this, and then I had already given him a couple beats that were already on the record, and he was like, I like this joint. I really think this would sound good if you flipped it. That's all he said. It wasn't a specific part. It was nothing. It was just the record. And I'm like, okay. I think the record that I had the most challenging part of doing that he sent me was Sweet and Low, which is why Sweet and Low sounds very different. a lot of people were like, "It's like the best beat ever." I'm like, "It's crazy! Like, y'all don't even know what the fuck is going on in the beat right now, and y'all love it. Like, it's wild. Like, he's rapping over a 6/8 Tom signature, and y'all don't even know that." Like, you know what I mean? Like, I told Ashton, like, if you can't rap over this, it's okay. But I made this like a Earl Sweatshirt type of beat. I was listening to a lot of Earl at this point, and I'm like, just think of Earl Sweatshirt when he listened to this, and he's like, okay, and he sent me the joint this next day, and I'm like, you got sweet and low, you know what I mean? So I'm glad that I can work with people who have very similar mindsets with me, because it makes the work 10 times easier and way more enjoyable, even if you're not in the same room with them. Because I wasn't in the same room with Trash TompSin, but I really enjoy our record because I enjoy what he brings to the records and the performances of his records. But next time I do a record with somebody, I will preferably like to be in the studio with them, probably, just because it's just a better experience.
I was going to ask that too. I know we talked about that the last time we talked at Scaring the Hose, Smoking the Hose, I mean, say.
Yeah.
You haven't really done too much in person for some. You've been having to work off email and such.
Yeah, and that's just because of scheduling. It's not even necessarily I don't want to go and be in the same studio with them, or like, no, it's just everybody is just so busy, but everybody also wants a Wulverine beat, so it's just like, okay, well, whatever, we'll figure it out. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not a person that is opposed to not working with people, but I'm also the type of person where at this point, where I'm getting to a point where people really are desiring a lot of my music, I have to start limiting the amount of beats I send to people, because I need to get paid for this stuff. I mean, I'm not saying it's literally what it's about. It's literally not even about that. It's just at a certain point, you don't want to waste a producer's time. A lot of people end up wasting a lot of producers' time. It's just a natural occurrence with the industry. So to avoid having to do that, I'm kind of like leaning back on not being as lenient about beats as much as I usually am.
Okay.
Because I'm very, very stupidly lenient. Like, I'm probably one of the easiest people to work with, and I still am. I have no problems with people at all. It's just, it just be like that sometimes. And I don't like, I try to keep myself busy, and I don't want to keep myself busy with somebody that doesn't want to work or wants to waste my time.
Gotcha.
To avoid having to do something like that, I would just like, well, if you want to beat, $50 goes a long way. And I charge that's like super low compared to what somebody else would charge. A lot of other people charge way more than I do.
Now, as a producer, since, I don't want to get so much into specific number amounts, per se, out of respect, but are you at that level where you feel you need to keep it still at a price range to get work? And do you feel you need to, like, have, the work speaks for itself to eventually say, okay, I'm going to charge this now, from now on?
Exactly.
Like that.
That's really what the work would speak for itself. And it's not even, I haven't put out that many records now, but the records that I have put out are pretty, like, notable, and people have heard it, and it's not like I'm not around. Like, I've been in way many more conversations than I would have thought in other people's conversations. So, it's like, if I'm being talked about like that, like, not in a bad way, in a good way, it's like, all right, well, I feel like my work should speak for itself. And honestly, I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't even really upfront try to charge people. But if I don't know you, I'm gonna charge you. That's just what it is. Like, if I've never heard of you and I just really do not know you, yeah, I'm gonna probably charge you. It's not any disrespect towards you at all. It's like, it's just, I've never built any type of rapport or relationship with you at all to even give you something without wanting some type of compensation. But I haven't, like, even this whole year, I really haven't asked people like that, yo, like, slide me this and I'm gonna give you that. It's mostly been me just giving people beats, unless I just really met you and I'm like, yo, I might need like a couple dollars, but like,
nah. It makes sense. That's fair. If you don't know them, you gotta establish that trust, even financially speaking. So, but then afterwards, if, like, you have, like, your go-to with action with sorry, AhhFuGGiT with Heartbreak Julio or Trash TompSin. Yeah, I can totally understand. Like, okay, if it's an EP, certain amount of beats, then we can let that slide.
Right.
You'll put out the art.
Right, but and that's the thing. I really do not care about the money, and it really speaks to say that because I just try to put out as good art as best as possible. That's really what it's always been about. Like, I've never been a type of person. I don't even try to do beat sales like that. It's been very rare this year that I even did it. I think I might have done it twice, and that's about it. But like, I try not to just even think about the monetary value of things, but because eventually I know it's going to come. It's just thinking about those things while you're trying to get art done is extremely difficult because you sideline yourself and not being able to want to be creative, which is completely understandable because you want to be realistic. But it's also really hard to be in a creative mindset when you want to, like, not be broke. Yeah.
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
oh, yeah.
So, right.
I hate being broke. It sucks.
It does. It's fucking terrible. But I've been fortunate enough to like not be broke, but like I definitely have been super looking for jobs. I've been interviewing and job searching, sending resumes, the whole fucking 9 yards. Because I am not going to be able to pay for more music if I don't go and do that shit.
Now, also, I guess maybe inside baseball-esque question, but when it comes to your sound, since you do use samples pretty often, do you have to? I know there's this one thing called what's that service called? Where you like pay a upfront thing for all these samples they got like to use and shit.
Price?
No, I think it's disc log or I forget what it is.
TrackLib?
TrackLib, I think. Right. Do you use anything?
Nah, I don't use TrackLib, and I actually, at one point, I thought about it. I very much have A/B'd like, should I get it? Should I spend the money every month? I thought about it, and it has its uses for sure. But I dig. Like, either I'm going to a record shop to go dig for a personal record, or I'm on YouTube scouring the very deepest corners of it looking for something really good. That's normally what I do. I don't like TrackLib and Splice and shit like that very much. I know it has its uses though. I could see its uses and its potential of it being very, very integral to certain people's production, but for me personally, I like to find the record myself.
Okay.
It's a very it's an attachment you get to the record when you find something yourself and you go and you flip whatever you find.
I totally get that. Absolutely. You build that little bond even with something simple as a song. It's like, there. It's something in there is just for you.
Because there's never been a beat that I've made that I have never felt emotional with. And that's like something that Alchemist has said. I feel like Alchemist, I think, has said this at one point where he was like, if I don't feel emotional, then I know it's not the one. And every time I make a beat, I get very emotional. Like, it's just, I'm a very emotional person. So if it's like I said, if I make a beat, if I don't feel emotional, I either don't send it to somebody, I keep it in the tuck, or I just make something else. I gotta feel something. Like, I don't even care about the artist at that point. Like, people always ask me, like, do you ever think about the artist when you make a beat or something? At first I did, and all I thought about was West Side Gun, and I was just making beats just to try to impress West Side Gun, and that just, it was cool, but it wasn't, like, the best thing for me, personally, because I would put myself in a box. I stopped caring about that stuff, and I kind of just started just making stuff that I would feel comfortable listening to on my own and be like, if this makes somebody feel a certain type of way, then I know I did my job. So now every single time I've had a rapper tell me like a certain beat that I send them in a pack makes them feel a certain type of way, or like, oh, this beat for sure is like V1 for me because it's like, it speaks to me in ways that it doesn't speak to me at all, or like whatever, like those responses tell me that, okay, I'm doing my job.
Nice. There's no hiding, no shame behind feeling something for the beat. As many as you make.
Absolutely not. You should. You should. If you don't, you know, you mean it really depends, because there's some people that just work and make beats very quickly and kind of just move on to the next one. I mean, it doesn't mean that they don't necessarily have feelings in their beats, but, you know, me, I take time when I compose my shit. I don't make, like, I could make a beat in 30 minutes, but I could also make a beat in 2 hours, and it really just depends on what I want it to sound like and what I want from it. And that time is very integral to what I want it to sound like, really.
And more just, you know, out of respect for the art of the producer and sample picking and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what's your process? Do you pick the sample, like chop it out of the song you chose and then build around it? Or do you build like the bass and then like, oh, this sample fits this just perfect?
No. For me, it depends. I don't necessarily have a formula that I go with every time. Every sample is different.
Okay.
And you have to treat it that way, because if you kind of force a specific technique or a specific mode to whatever record you're approaching, you're forcing too much. I like to live with the song, so if it has a certain groove or I think it could perceive a certain groove a certain way, I'm gonna just do that. So there are times where a sample is so good, I find a loop, 2 variations, that's it, because it's good. Fuck it, I don't even gotta touch nothing. There are times that I manually chop things myself because I want it to sound very different from what the record sounds like. The record could sound dope as hell as a loop, but I still want to chop it. And there's been a good example of that would be Snow Beach from Luchador Going Diamond. Snow Beach, all chops, no loops, all chops from different parts of the record. But if you would look at the record, you would see how many chops. They're all from the beginning. There's some here, there's some there, there's some there, there's some at the end. All chops. But it sounds very cohesive. It sounds like a loop almost. That's what I love that. I love doing that.
Nice.
You know, like that's the shit I strive for. Because people could never point out what type of sample it is. And I love that shit. And I'm like, I kind of do that on purpose. Yeah.
And that's commendable, because it's not like you're just taking like the most common record, the most sampled part, and just doing your thing with it. Oh, it's so different because this guy's rapping over it that hasn't rapped on it before.
Right. Exactly. Shit, there's even the Rockers, I would have never expected Julio and Action to rap over that. It's a very unorthodox beat. It's super unorthodox because it's very chopped up. Because the sample isn't even a regular time signature, so I had to like big brain the whole shit. And but it's beautiful, and the fact that I think that it was that beautiful is what led them to want to rap the way that they did. But I also kind of like, I feel like this, how aggressive the chops were, and you can notice how aggressive the chops were, led to them wanting to be aggressive through the music. Because not only is it a very beautiful melodic piece, but it's also like in your face without having drums backed on it. So yeah, that's another example of like a different chops of something being pieced together into one thing.
Wulverine, please let them know out there. I you know, they're scratching their head out of curiosity, but how do I find this guy? Where do I follow him at? Tell them,
well,
please.
If you don't already follow me on IG, which I think most of you do,
yeah, Action.
I'm on I'm on IG as Wulverine001. I've never changed it since the day I actually started IG. And also same thing on Twitter, with a U, no O's, no O's, no O's, no O's, no O's. I am not getting sued. Marvel, I love you. Please don't sue me. I'm gonna say this every single time.
You could have gone.
I could have. No, it's that's kind of not that's corny.
I'm a big fan of Ric Flair and Wulverine. Wulverine.
Oh, I see. Yeah, but see that's kind of corny though. That's kind of corny. I feel it's a little corny.
All right, 3 O's and then it would have worked.
And on all music platforms with the U, Wulverine, Heartbreak Kid out now with Heartbreak Julio, Deadpool and Wulverine also out now. Thank you, Trash TompSin. Luchador series with action also out. You know, if you want to go listen to that and watch the videos and cop a CD, we got 10 CDs left, or 9 as I've been told. So y'all want one? I have one still signed by being active. If anybody wants to cop one, just saying.
Yo, it's over. Alright, it's over. It's over. Move the mic. Move the mic.
Thank you.
Alright.